Well, Fox News contributor and author of the brand new book, The Right Problems, Herman Cain, joins us now. Mr. Cain, thanks for being with us.
My honor. Thank you for having me. Pleasure. Good to see you.
It was 4 years ago you were running for president. You miss it?
Yes. No. Miss running? No.
Right.
See, that was a trick question.
Look what these guys are going through.
It was a tough decision because the conclusion that I came to when I was attacked, I couldn't do multiple lawsuits and run a presidential campaign at the same time. We could have gone that route, but decided not to.
Well, what do you make of what's going on right now? Donald Trump is #1 nationally.
Yes.
Ted Cruz is 1 point behind him in Iowa, which is less than 2 weeks away. Right now, they're kind of back and forth at each other. What do you think about it, the dynamic?
I think the dynamic is the three that are leading, Trump, Cruz, and Rubio, as a matter of fact. That shows a trend that has been there for a while, and I think that trend is going to play out in Iowa and New Hampshire. I don't know which one is going to be 1, 2, or 3, but because those three have clearly led the pack for so long, that's what we're going to see. We don't know which position, but it's going to be those three. I think that trend is going to stick.
As a Republican, the Wall Street Journal does a poll, and they ask people, how do you feel about this infighting? They say Republican, the rambunctious process has given them a less favorable impression of the party, and they're beginning to turn off women as well as Hispanics. That's a risk, isn't it?
It is a big risk, and I cringe every time I see the personal attacks myself, because I know that Main Street USA people, they don't want to hear about all of that stuff. They want to hear about substance. They want to hear about solutions and this sort of thing. So it is a negative for the party. I would hope that the candidates would discontinue that. But here's the problem. I know that they are being encouraged to do this by some of their, quote, political professionals, because they think that you have to do that to move up in the polls, and that's simply not true.
Yeah, but you look at the political professionals, they discounted Donald Trump from the get-go. They said, this guy's got absolutely no shot, and yet he's leading everything.
That's conventional wisdom, and they still can't understand and explain the Trump phenomenon. I boiled it down to 3 words.
Okay.
Leadership, fighter, and winner. That's what people see, and they're not listening to all of this other stuff.
But when you look at what he's been doing, though, the conservative have given him a mulligan and said, okay, we know your background is somewhat dubious. It's different. You're a businessman. Why does he get a mulligan and other Republicans have to be a true blue conservative?
The other Republicans don't have to be true blue conservatives, but what Trump is doing that the others may not be doing as well is attracting non-traditional voters.
That's right.
I've seen a survey that said that, and I've seen many quotes of people who said, I had given up on voting.
That's right.
I gave up on it, but I'm coming back in. And let me tell you a phenomenon that I discovered on my radio show. I get callers who call up and say, I am black, I'm female, and I'm going from Democrat to Trump. They didn't say they're going from Democrat to Republican. They're going from Democrat to Trump. I think that's part of the phenomenon.
Real quick, do you think we're going to see any upsets in Iowa? Do you think we're going to see any surprises, since very oftentimes they do break late and make the decision at the witching hour?
The surprises will be in positions 4, 5, and 6. I don't think we're going to see any surprises in positions 1, 2, and 3.
So it's going to be Cruz, Trump in some order,
in some order, and then some of the others.
Now let's talk about The Right Problems.
Yes.
The book that you have out today.
Yes.
It kind of talks about what went into why you're running, why you did run.
I ran because of the right problems that I identified in this book. I wrote the book because when I ran, I focused on the right problems and the right solutions. The candidates don't get enough credit for the substance. When you have spoon-fed sound bites that are picked out of the different speeches that they give, it helps to create a perception that it's not necessarily the content that they represent. So this book is a guide for people to ask the candidates the right questions, as well as demand, when are you all going to start working on these problems?
Sure.
And if President Obama were to read your book, what would he learn from it? What could he take away from it?
He would learn that he has failed to work on the right problems for 7 years. That's what President Obama would learn, quite frankly. And all of Congress needs to focus on these problems, which inspired me to write this particular book.
Sure, and it's about leadership. And, you know, it's applicable to anybody in a leadership position across the board, because too many people in a position of authority, they have a problem, but they don't address it correctly. They're working on the symptoms, not the underlying
They're working on the symptoms, and this is the biggest problem with this thing we call Washington, D.C. It's always either reacting to the symptoms or working on the symptoms, and you need leadership to bring that focus to the right problem.
So the Republicans have a look at the poor. They did that summit a week ago led by Paul Ryan. But for the most part, Why do you think it is Republicans have given up on the black vote, it seems?
I believe that some Republicans have given up on the black vote, but not all Republicans have given up on the black vote, because they don't know how to reach out to black voters. That's their problem. They have a communications and a messaging problem when it comes to reaching out to black voters without pandering like the Democrats. That's the dilemma that they're in.
Well, his brand new book comes out today. It's called The Right Problems With the President, Congress, and Every Candidate Should Be Working On.
And you got to tell them they can find it at hermancain.com, Steve.
You know what? You can find it at hermancain.com.
And you don't need to
I like it, Steve. What a way to close.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure to be here.
Godfather's Pizza.
All right.
No, not today. It would be good on the cold day.
It's nothing better than cold pizza for breakfast. Just saying.